This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis.
With Jolly Green.
We're here today to talk about a game called League of Legends. It's a MOBA-style battle game. Calling you to the plains of the place to do battle and such on behalf of the varying nations in this particular world. Got a couple of interesting things this week. The very delayed news week. They kind of put off everything until just a little bit late yesterday. New champion, Rice Krispie Treats, the Clockwork Girl. Except her name is actually Orianna. I'm not sure why I said Rice Krispie Treats, but I'm going to stick with it. So, there you go. Got a new Journal of Justice, couple of sales, and some tournament stuff. So let's dive right into it. Leia Orianna, the Clockwork Girl. First thoughts.
She's going to have a pet. They've definitely kind of hinted towards that. Unless she is a giant sphere, then, yeah, she's going to have some sort of pet or turret or something that she's going to be able to summon in this. And from what I kind of feel from it, all her abilities are going to be based around this little orb, and it's going to be the main source of damage, and it's going to be either a separate entity or it's just going to be in her model.
Which is good, because they haven't introduced a static pet for any character yet. Malzahar has his little 3 spells, and you get a uncontrollable crab thing. Mordekaiser has his ultimate clone-killing thing. But nobody has a pet that they start out with. I kind of like the idea of this because it's new, and I'm really hoping that they make it more controllable with the control click type deal rather than a Malzahar randomly wandering around type pet.
And I wouldn't mind having something like that, and all the abilities would say, you know, Orianna would do this, and her pet would do this if it's in the same area. So, like, she would do, like, a simple damaging spell, and then the ball would, like, hit it with a slow, and if they take out the ball or something, it has, like, a certain cooldown, kind of like Heimer's turret time. So it would kind of wind up a bit, and then the turret would come back. So if she keeps the ball alive longer, it would scale with her and give her an additional effect.
Now, I'm going to disagree with both of you to bring in a different sort of input here. I don't see this as necessarily being a pet. It's a huge amount of micromanaging, and it can be fairly underwhelming at times. I mean, there are a lot of pet-based champions in Dota, and they were either a pain in the butt or they were completely useless. So I don't think they'll put a full-time pet champion in the game. How I see this clockwork creature is rather than a pet, I see it more as a buff/debuff. Essentially, I see it as maybe you either have it targeted on yourself, on an ally, or on an enemy. Or on a monster.
Kind of like Karma.
Sort of. You put it on any one of them, and it stays on them till they get out of range, then it comes back to you. But all of your abilities have a split sort of thing, where, like, if this orb is surrounding an enemy champion, it deals X amount of damage to him and all of his allies, or slows them, or stuns them, or CCs them. Whereas if it's on an ally, it gives them a healing boost, or it gives them a healing burst of speed. So something where it's like, you can, like, say, okay, my carry is always getting focused down. I'm going to put this sphere on them and tunnel all of my abilities into them to keep them up. So I see her as more of like an intense, single-target character. Not only to get away from the AoE meta, but to actually give a support some like actual like, hey, I want to support one person or maybe even two people. So make it like a support that is very viable in threes just because of how intense the single-target support is. That's how I see this champion.
That is a good point. And a lot of people are, kind of complaining on the way it looks, because...
Yeah, I mean, there's not much in the preview at all.
Yeah, it was weird. This week they give us this after a whole week. We thought we would get, like, a little bit more of a bigger reveal, or they would combine both the sneak peek and the abilities together kind of simultaneously or something. But instead, we get just a fun little fact about them finding a scroll, which looks photoshopped, in the back of Riot Games. But I don't know, I'm interested to see what's going on with this. This is fairly interesting. Hopefully it's like a decent support or, something new that brings something to the game, because Vayne, compared to Vayne, she was just kind of...
Vayne is a situational champ who I appreciate.
Yeah, she's a lot of things put together into a situational champion, where this one could bring something really interesting to the game or be really bland.
Which is good, because in the past 15 or so champions, there has been one support character, Karma. And I think it's really due time that support starts to rear its head and become a viable class type in more than just 5s.
Because if you get a support champion, you have a stronger chance of doing well in game. Unless they're really retarded. But I should know, I usually turn the tide of battle half the time as Tarek or Asana anyway.
By being retarded?
Yes. I'll sit there at Dragon, try to solo it when my team needs some heals.
Good job!
But again, I mean, them with his decision to push.
But yeah, I mean, I see this champion as something completely different. I don't see it as just a boring pet class. I see it as a very intense single target support / DPS.
It would interest me if there's micromanagement, like you can send the ball on one person, and then you use an ability on one person, and then whoever the ball is targeted does the same effect to someone else.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just wish that they would start upping the skill level on the new champions. So far, they've been just overpowered abilities upon overpowered abilities with passives on those overpowered abilities, and not really a lot in the arena of strategy and complex interactions.
I don't know, there's some champions they brought out recently that had good flow with each other, like
Name
Brand.
20.
Name 20.
10 seconds.
I'm good.
9, 8, 7, 6.
I'm not even going to play this game with you.
4, 3, 2, 1. Nothing. You named 1. That's pathetic.
I said I wasn't playing that game.
But that's Oregano, the Clockwork Girl, is an interesting champion. We'll see how it plays out. I could be very wrong. They could be very wrong. We both could be very wrong.
It could just be the little orb running around.
Yeah, like we said, this is all speculation. We have no idea. So we shall see. Maybe it'll blow our minds with something very new and unique. A couple of sales this week. Good skin sales coming up with Ezreal, Rammus, and Lumberjack Scion. Lumberjack Scion is going to be very, very cheap. So if you play Scion a lot, this is a great looking skin. Extremely
It's
low
not a
cost.
recolor, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's not a recolor for 5.
It's fairly recent, too.
Mm-hmm. So there's one to pick up. Ezreal skin, not a big fan of. But the Chrome Rammus skin, I mean, it looks relatively nice. So if you play Rammus, definitely look into that one. Looks better than the Ninja one, in my humble opinion.
Speaking of those skins,
oh yeah,
your opinion.
I don't like the new Rammus skin. The colors just don't work. There's not enough shading, and it just looks kind of like a mess.
I agree with that. From what I've seen of it, it looks horrid.
And the new TF skin, I have not seen it in game yet, but
I heard there's some like weird bugs with the animation. It just doesn't look right when he moves around.
I mean, most of TF skins already look pretty much the same to me as is. So I doubt this will be much different, but I have not seen it in game, so I'm not really fit to judge. Also this week was the Journal of Justice. Normally we don't really talk about this, but there was an interesting thing in the Kassadin versus Malzahar issue where they were talking about a new inhibitor. The inhibitors are usually a sign that there is either a new map coming out, or B, there's some big lore event thing. So I imagine this is going to be a precursor because it said it was in the mountains. In the mountains. So
in the mountains.
This may be the startup to the arc for releasing Magma Chambers. So that's definitely something to think about.
I would like to see a good world event with that. Kind of
a world event.
I've been playing too much Rift, I'm sorry.
A good world event. What, are they going to have like a 40 versus 40 Summoner's Rift event? That would be pretty neat, though.
Everybody has to pick a champion, and then
all the champions are picked, and just everyone is just thrown on this massive map. Would actually be pretty cute.
And then the entire game is ran at 2 FPS.
Yeah, essentially. But no, I mean, could be the precursor to Magma Chamber. They could be pulling our leg, but something to think about. Don't want to raise you guys' hopes, but there you go.
Also, Karthus was murdered the other day in the same event.
Doesn't matter, though. He's a lich. He walked it off, or floated it off, as it were.
Float on.
Next up, our own segment. Moving past the news here, we don't really care about the tournament stuff. Got a couple of questions this week. The first one is from Viva Magneto 2000. He asks, is there a viable jungle method / champion for 3v3s? In my experience, champions like Warwick, Tryndamere, sometimes Trundle, depending on the enemy team comp, but what I usually see is lane phasing until level 2, sometimes even 3, and then moving up into the jungle, just so you can give your teammate at bot the support they need just in order to keep them on their feet so they don't get destroyed and then when they get to level 2, they have their good escape. They can get away relatively easier, and they can still get a little bit of solo experience. So generally, I've seen that they get to level 2 or 3 before moving off into the jungle, just because, you know, it helps your lane mate stay safe. As far as a champion, generally champions with either a good move speed or just a lot of mobility. I mean, Tryndamere, he doesn't have that best move speed, but he has his spinning slash, which allows him to get through the jungle and just run through walls very, very easily, so it gives him a lot of lane control. So just jungling with a champion that can get around the map relatively quickly is generally your best choice. So things like Nunu is great just because of how fast he moves. Tryndamere is great. And Trundle is great as well. So there's a lot of good champions out there. It's just about making sure you don't doom your teammates.
I'm more experienced with 5, so I don't really know if there's a good 3v3 one. Jelly Green, you jungle 3s, right?
I jungle 3s a lot, actually, but usually it's much less about the individual jungler's champion and the champion that plays the solo lane against 2 other players in bot. It's very difficult to find a competent player that can hold his own against 2 others, especially if you're playing against 2 other ranged. You just get pushed out of the lane, killed, and then the viability of the jungle is completely lost, and you have to lane anyway. So you want to cooperate with your teammates and make sure that you have a decently good escape champion, preferably ranged, and as far as the jungling champion itself, mana is a huge issue in 3s because you don't have the blue buff. So, like Axis said, Tryndamere is a very good jungler in 3s because he doesn't have a resource system and his heal is extremely potent. He can stay in the jungle a long time, clear it, and then go gank freely. Pop through a wall and bang, there you go. I also like to jungle with Warwick and Nunu, even though they do have high mana consumptive costs. But yeah, just my 2 cents on the 3v3 jungling.
Hopefully that helps for you, Viva.
Did we get an email one this week?
I don't think we did, so we might as well.
Oh yeah, we'll just do another comment one. Zach Lee 11 sent us 3 questions. We will pick one of them. We kind of went over a jungle one already, so we'll do the last one. Do you play anything on the Xbox 360? I loaned my Xbox 360 to my sister, but when I do play it, I generally play a lot of Black Ops. I am an FPS loser, so laugh at me. I've been playing a lot of Killzone on the PlayStation.
My PlayStation.
On your PlayStation. We picked up Brink the other day. I was so excited for it, and
it's too short.
It flopped, so that was kind of a bummer. I like the customization on that. I hope that carries over into Modern Warfare 3, because I'm a COD guy. I like to play a lot of Oblivion, a lot of good RPGs. I used to play a lot of Fable, and then I got over it. And yeah, generally just good RPGs and shooters. I'm a big fan of. Not a big fan of fighters and racers, to be honest, but a good RPG, a good open one like Oblivion and Skyrim here soon. It's going to take up all my time.
I have a PS3 and both 360, and I've been flip-flopping between the 2. Recently beat Portal 2, great game. Been playing Mortal Kombat when PSN isn't down. I just picked up LA Noire instead of Brink because Brink flopped. And I've been having a great time with those, and also playing a bunch of Mega Man.
Xbox! He said Xbox!
I don't care. I am not biased. I like both of them equally.
No, it's not a bias, it's a question.
Well, I'm saying I've been playing a lot of
And I'm
both.
saying you're a traitor to the Empire. Take him away!
No, no, no!
Go ahead, Jelly.
But yeah, I do play a lot of Xbox 360 games, especially when I'm in areas that have very bad internet. But Mass Effect, replayed that a couple times, trying to get it ready for Mass Effect 3. I just love the cohesion with that series. What you do in one game affects the other, and I don't see that in any other video game. And it's a good shooter combined with an RPG, and it's just got everything working for it. Great graphics, great story. You get really involved, and the endings are so very satisfying because you have so much input on them.
Sex scenes, right?
Oh yeah, all about the sex scenes. But God of War...
Didn't we lock you up?
I got better.
Can't trump the God of War sex scenes. Interactive, baby.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you really are interested about playing with us online, depending what games you have, we might set something up. We might even have a COD clan or whatnot.
No.
Sorry, that I don't get those.
Hot Wheels. Why did I say that?
But that's pretty much it for this week. If you guys have any speculation you guys think with the orb of laser beams, as I would like to call it, let us know. Email us with your questions, put them in the comments below, or email us at spasticgaming@gmail.com. Shirts are still on sale. If you have any ideas on shirts as well, send us an email. We can just definitely set something up with that. And yeah, nothing else this week. It's been pretty light.
This has been Axis.
And Water Elemental.
With Jolly Green.
And I'm telling you, don't let this guy rant. He's so bad at it. I mean, did you hear the last part? Oh, it was like beating a dead horse and it's neighing. You're just like, just be quiet. Just die, please. That's just what it was like for me.